A relationship with social media back then is very different than it is today, and it would change the way that I talked about it. If you go back to that 2014, 2015 period, which is when, by the way, I first began writing about skepticism around social media. My first post about this came out in 2014. If you went back then, people were thinking about tools like Facebook or Twitter through a lens of personal positive benefits. So if you said, I don't know, I don't think you should use Facebook, they would come back and say, here are like the benefits I'm getting, right? Like I'm keeping up with my friends. It's how I find business contacts, and there's news sources I can't get elsewhere, right? Twitter, they would be like, this is important for my professional brand. If I don't have a voice online, I don't exist, and it's going to be hard to get jobs. So we're still at the tail end of seeing social media tools as being utilitarianly useful. I don't want to give up on benefits. If you go back and watch my TEDx talk, Quit Social Media, that went viral, and it's at like 11 million views now. I recorded that the summer after Deep Work came out, I believe. Go back even then, right? Watch that talk. I'm mainly responding to people's objections to quitting social media based on the value they think they're getting, right? So it's all responses to the types of things where people say, I don't want to give up this value. And I would have to argue like, that's not as valuable as you think. And the cost there is bigger than you think, right? So it was definitely like a utilitarian calculus people were applying to social media back then, which is why I approached it with this, like, let's weigh pros and cons. It's kind of like a quiet push, quiet touch to get people to use less social media. Today in 2026, that is not our relationship with social media. It has completely morphed away from value propositions and has leaned into sort of pure addiction. Like, think about a tool like TikTok and how different this is than like 2014 Facebook. TikTok no longer is like, hey, this is about people you know. You're not following friends. You're not getting updates from people you know. TikTok, unlike early Instagram, is not about, okay, I have selected maybe like more well-known people who I'm very interested in, and I want to hear their takes on things. So I'm following an artist I like, and I'm following a writer who has like inspiring quotes. TikTok's like, no, you don't follow anybody. We're just going to show you stuff, right? We're just going to show you stuff that's engaging. So you cannot tell yourself you're keeping up with people or you're trying to follow people that you think is interesting. The huge change here, and this is so big compared, we forget this, but such a big change. None of these platforms are about posting anymore. They were entirely about posting back then. It was about your stuff you posted, you wanting to put stuff out into the world, right? One of the original addiction hooks that Facebook introduced in their product was the like button. And I write about this in Digital Minimalism, which came out a few years later, this idea that I have an unpredictable indicator of what people think about me. So I put a post out there, and there's going to be this number. If the number is low, that's like people being mad at me. If that number is high, then people are lauding me. And that was like the most addictive piece of information you could imagine. Of course, I have to go back to this device a lot. I have to see that number. The like button made mobile-enabled social media incredibly addicting, right? This is what it was about. When I said in Deep Work, quit social media for 30 days, one of the big things I wrote about was, you think people really care what you have to say, but you'll notice when you quit for 30 days that no one even noticed that you were gone, right? So posting was a big part of social media. Not today. You're on TikTok. Like you're not there to post your own videos. You're just there to consume. You're on X, like you're just there to consume. You want to see the circus. You want to see the people, the gladiators fight. You're on Instagram. You just want to consume. You're no longer like posting photos of your vacations as much anymore. It's just pure consumption that has been made to be as compelling as possible, to keep you on the device as much as possible. So no one argues anymore. Oh, I have so much value from this that I'm going to miss out on all these opportunities and keeping up with friends. No, they're just like, I can't help myself. It numbs me. It makes chemicals flow. Life is hard. This is my booze, basically. So it's a completely different relationship. So if you're writing a chapter now about trying to get rid of consistent sort of optional digital distractions, you would write it more like a how to get sober guide. Like that's where we are right now. We see it as something that is a little bit unsavory and we can't help ourselves. It's like smokers in the early 90s. You're like, this is not good. We know this is kind of on the way out. I'm trying to stop and I can't, and I could use some help. So I would completely change the way I thought I would think about it. And this is where I'd give my advice, like you got to retrain your brain. You have to have the phone away from you more so that you're not firing those short-term circuits. You got to retrain long-term motivation circuits to learn the deep reward of sticking with something without distraction is better than the short-term reward of looking at the phone. You got to take all the stuff off of your phone that's going to give you high reward signals. Anything where people make money, the more you look at it, like you really got to make that phone dumber. Look at my video from our episode from, what was it, like a month ago, Jesse, where we talked about how to simplify your phone and make it seem like a incredibly simple dumb phone while still having useful apps on it. Like that's all the type of stuff I would talk about. This is no longer a argument about tool selection and pros versus cons. It's an argument about sobriety.